I have a confession to make, my friends. I like to think I'm reasonably familiar with the tube map, but one thing that catches me out time and time again is apostrophes. I have real trouble remembering which stations should be spelled with an apostrophe. Is it King's Cross or King apostrophe Z Cross? Collier's Wood or Collier apostrophe Z Wood? Now, I could just look these things up, but then I thought, no, why make things easy for myself? So today we are going to take a look into these tricky stations. Now, I'm assuming you're familiar with the apostrophe, but for the greengrocers in the audience, it's a punctuation mark usually used to denote possession or contraction. So to indicate possession, you would write Steve's coat, or Mike's house, or Jago's awe-inspiring charisma. If the thing that possesses is plural, you put the apostrophe at the end of the word. For instance, the YouTuber was trying his viewers' patience. To indicate a contraction, you put the apostrophe where the removed letter would go, so do not becomes don't. As with just about everything in English, there are exceptions to the rules, and we're just stuck with that. A common mistake is to use an apostrophe to indicate a plural. So if one says, there are 2 trains, they put an apostrophe before the S in trains. This is wrong. There's no apostrophe there. How dare you? So it should, in theory, be easy to figure out how all these tube stations are spelt. St. Paul's should have an apostrophe, because it's named after the cathedral dedicated to St. Paul, and it does. Shepherd's Bush either refers to someone who owned land in the area, or to a place where a shepherd takes shelter while watching their flocks. Or at least that's what they told the police. So we would expect that to have an apostrophe, and it does. Collier's Wood is a wood where colliers would gather wood for making charcoal, so that should be Collier apostrophe S Wood or Collier's apostrophe Wood, depending on how many colliers there are in this situation. But it isn't spelt either of those ways. There's no apostrophe. Stations with an apostrophe are King's Cross, Queen's Park, Regent's Park, Earl's Court, Shepherd's Bush, St. James's Park, St. Paul's and St. John's Wood. Stations without are Rayner's Lane, Baron's Court, Arnos Grove, Blackfriars, Cannon's Park, Collier's Wood, Parsons Green, Bounds Green, Gants Hill, Cockfosters, Golders Green, Northfields, Nine Elms, Northwood Hills, Southfields, Heathrow Terminals 2 and 3, and Kew Gardens. Oh, and of course stations where the S comes in the middle of the word don't have an apostrophe either, so Kingsbury, Queensbury, and Ravenscourt Park can just chill. The thing is, a lot of those stations without apostrophes seem like they should have them. Rayner's Lane, Parsons Green, Cannons Park, Arnos Grove, Bounds Green, Gants Hill, Cockfosters, and Golders Green are all believed to be derived from a person who owned the land. Rayner's Lane is supposedly named after a person named Rayner who owned the land in the area. Parsons Green was originally attached to a parsonage. On top of all that, it's not unknown for stations' names to change. For instance, at St. James's Park you can see old signs that give the name as St. James Park. So whatever rule it was under back then clearly wasn't absolute. Then you've got weird situations like the Earl's Court thing. The tube station is spelt with an apostrophe, but the place can be spelt with or without one. Meanwhile, Baron's Court is always spelt without. Hello children, me from the edit here. While I was working on this video, I discovered footage of old signs at Regent's Park, St. John's Wood and Earl's Court, where there is no apostrophe, and also this old poster at Golders Green, where there is one. Frankly, it's all a bit of a mess. I decided to look a little bit into the history of the apostrophe itself to see if that might give me any clues. And it seems that, in fact, no one actually knows all the rules about them. The apostrophe didn't really exist in the English language until the 16th century, and after its introduction, people used it more or less as they saw fit. Shakespeare, for instance, was incredibly inconsistent in his use of them. And this inconsistency persisted well into the 19th century. Even now, it seems like there's a lot you can get away with. So what can we conclude about this? Well, on the one hand, it's hard to know how tube stations should be punctuated. On the other hand, if you get it wrong, it's not like there's any consistent rule you've broken. So, I don't know, do what you like. If anyone condemns you for it, just tell them that it was good enough for Shakespeare. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this ungrammatical tale from the tube. If so, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like as ever to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and here on YouTube for your support. You are the clarity to my noun. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.